Hello and welcome to our latest edition of the Business Spotlight interview. Today I'm delighted to be joined by John Elliott, serial entrepreneur from my own hometown of Larne in Northern Ireland, chairman of Synergy Promotions, Clement's Coffee Shops, Erota, QCS Contract Cleaning, and a host of other things that John has done, including in his past he was general manager of our local Giants ice hockey team here in Belfast. So hello, John. How are you today?
Very well, Richard. I'm very well indeed. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Like, why don't you share with us who you are, what you do, and for how long?
Okay, so yeah, you've given me a great introduction there. I don't think I've had that length of introduction for a long time, but I guess everything that I do involves people. So I guess aside from everything titles-wise, I'm a people manager. For the last 28 years, I've run my own businesses. I guess I take you back to the early days. I started my career with Unilever after I left university, and I went through their graduate training program. And I guess at a very early stage, I was interested in how business worked. Yeah. And you know, being in a big company like Unilever, you get great training. And I always had aspirations to maybe have my own business at one stage. Didn't know what it looked like. You know, I think when we're young, we all aspire to stuff. And 2 or 3 years later, actually 4 years later, I found myself in a situation where I either set up business in Northern Ireland or moved back across the water to take up a job in London or the south of England. Yeah, used that as an opportunity to go for it and set up my first small marketing business way back. And there's a great saying that you fake it till you make it. There was a fair bit of faking it until I made it. But really, in terms of your question, what do? I manage groups of people. So whether I'm managing a group of people to sell a fragrance or a bottle of liquor in a duty-free shop in any of the UK stores, which is my promotions business, or whether I'm asking people to make the best quality of coffee that you can find in Belfast, or clean a floor or clean a toilet through a contract cleaning, it's all about people. So it's about making sure that you have the right people doing the right tasks, making sure that you're supporting them well, making sure that the teams around you are all in the right, moving in the right direction. And you know, it has its challenges. Anywhere that there are people, there are challenges. So it's of course an interesting journey, shall we say.
Excellent. So who is your ideal customer? And I guess for the various different businesses, there's various different ideal customers.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, whilst I would sort of put myself in that people management bracket, we have so many different customers. If you go into my catering, my cafe setup, I have 4 sites in Queen's University here in Belfast. Obviously, the customers are students and staff of the university. Yeah. You know, they're a great bunch of people to work for. Queen's University is a very forward-thinking university. It's got lots of change, and the leadership team there are fantastic. So the customers that I've got there are very different than the customers that walk through Heathrow Terminal 5, for example, where I think today I have something like 70 people working in Heathrow. And they'll be selling the latest perfumes, or they'll be selling the latest bottles of liquor that are on offer. So the customers that you get in a Heathrow terminal are very different to the customers walking into a coffee shop. And again, the customer that walks that rings up and asks us to give them a quotation to clean their office space or their schools. Again, very different. But at the core of all of this is the process of managing people.
Yeah, no, super. So what's the biggest learning that you've had, John, since you've been a business owner?
Oh, too many learnings to I mean, I guess resilience is a major thing that you need to learn. Yeah. You don't get everything right all of the time. In fact, you need to make those mistakes. You need to learn from those mistakes. You need to analyze what you've maybe done and how you've approached a problem, so that you can learn from it going forward. So I think that my biggest learning has always been to never ever get down and encourage people. Actually, you know, I encourage my team to make mistakes because they'll learn them. Yeah. So you know, one of my biggest things is I'll always back you. So if you've done something and you've kind of regretted doing it in business, you've made the wrong decision, you've taken the wrong choice, you'll always have my backing. because I'm giving you the kudos to run the job. I'm giving you the training, the education, the understanding of what's required, and we go on a path together. And so I'm not one of those sorts that will slam somebody for getting it wrong. And, you know, I think you get respect from that. So for me, the learnings that I've had over the 26, 27 years have been immense.
Yeah.
Challenges that we've faced have been immense. You know, we've gone through a couple of recessions. We've come through, obviously, the COVID pandemic. You know, we've gone from, you know, heroes to zeros overnight whenever that all kicked in. And, you know, I think one of the biggest learnings for me, even coming out of COVID, was the resilience of our people, and the loyalty that our people showed us was phenomenal. You know, for me to sit at the top of the tree, I don't like that phrase, but for me to sit where I sit in the organization, there's something beautiful when you see even the newest people that join the organization feeling the way they do about working for us. And the commitment and the loyalty. And I think you can only get that when your systems are right. You can only get that whenever your approach, your induction programs, your ongoing training, your appraisal systems, all of the things that we do as people managers. When you get those bits right, then you start to see the sort of flourishing industry that we have.
Sure. Yeah, crucial points, and really great sharings. And it's interesting when you were mentioning about the different ideal customers. I would never have thought of me as your ideal customer, but I've sat in nearly every one of your coffee shops and experienced that great customer care. Yet I've been through Heathrow Terminal 5 so many times I couldn't count it, and probably encountered your staff and bought their products again without even realizing this actually came back to. And if we go back in time here to the days when we ran around in our scout uniforms in Larne, and you would have been out in your rugby stuff at our Larne Grammar School. So back in those days growing up, is this what you always wanted to do?
Actually interested you should mention the Larne piece. I mean, I think you were in my six in the Cubs.
Yeah, I was going to say way back.
We're going back to probably 8, 9, 10-year-old boys at that stage, and I don't know if you remember, but I was a sixer, so I was sort of led the six, and you know, when we went into the scouts, I led one of the patrols in the scouts. I think I had a natural piece in me that always wanted to get the best out of people and be a leader. Early days, you never think like that, but you know, that then led into first 15 rugby captain. You know, didn't quite make it to head boy at school. I was deputy head boy at school, but you know, you're kind of showing those traits at an early age, and that flowed into university where it wasn't enough to play in a rugby team. I wanted to organise the matches, so I got involved in the administration. And then I went on and took a sabbatical year as president of the sports union, where I was organising all of the sports teams. And I guess I had a hunger and a passion for lead, and a passion to pull people with me.
Yeah.
And I would never have looked at it like that, and I never thought like that. But that's probably was an early sign that maybe that I was destined to go places, and maybe the business environment. I could have chosen. I came out of a very sporting university, and having done the sort of master's degree and done my year sabbatical, it would be very easy for me to go into a sports administration role. But I was pulled towards business. And as I had huge opportunities early days with Unilever. And ironically, when you say, you know, I talk to school kids quite a lot in the business, GCSE business module.
Yes.
And questions I ask them when I talk about my career is, you know, can you name me some Unilever brands? And I just get glum faces everywhere. And none of them can tell me. And I said, there's not a Unilever brand that you don't touch every day, whether you're washing your hair with it or spreading it on your toast or whatever it might be, or putting it in your pasta. There's a Unilever product in everybody's house, probably 10 or 15 of them. And it's funny that they don't recognize Unilever in the same way that you're saying, I don't recognize that I would have been in all your coffee shops, and you know, I'll have touched it through T5. I'll probably have been talking to some of your staff, but you've been to an Ulster rugby match and we cleaned the Ulster rugby stadium. You know, so you'll have been in a clean toilet that we've, so there's so many different angles where you can make that comparison for the sort of big company to the small company environment. Where you don't necessarily need to know me or need to know my businesses or how they all go, but we touch people in many different ways.
Yeah, Excellent. Amazing. It's really inspiring. So for me, that inspires me. Unilever, I also worked in, I guess, the whole clinical diagnostics, pharmaceutical, biotech industry, some of those huge corporations, really inspiring. Who inspires you today in business?
Ooh, I mean, there's a lot of people that I look up to still. I guess, if I go back to my rugby analogies and everything, Tony O'Reilly, who was the president of the Heinz Group, played rugby for Ireland. He was one of my early inspirations whenever I was thinking about setting up business. He was somebody that I always thought, well, he's played rugby at the highest level, and he's now the president of one of the biggest food corporations in the world.
Sure.
Huge influence. When I think more sort of personally, my late mother, she still inspires me every day. She was the one who sort of always pushed me into those, you be the sixer, you be the patrol leader, get yourself into position to be leader of the rugby team, captain of the rugby team. She encouraged all of that early behavior. And although she passed away in 1993, a phenomenal amount of years ago, 30 years, she still inspires every day. And I think anybody who's lost a parent will appreciate, actually, you don't lose that. You still have that sort of feeling that they're there with you, and they're mentoring you through everything.
Sure.
Things aren't going just so well, I'll still go and have a chat with her. She has the answers.
Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful to hear that, John, and having known your mother, and the impact that she had in our life and family as well.
Right.
But so many people that I have interviewed in the Business Spotlight have relayed like one of their parents certainly as an inspiration to them and what they have achieved and what they currently do, and it's still a source for them. So that's wonderful to hear. So do you have any other sort of favorite books or podcasts that you turn to for motivation?
I am a podcast listener. I currently live down just outside Donaghadee. And so I've got to drive into Belfast every day. So I've got a sort of 35 minute window, depending on traffic. And I'm an avid fan in the morning. I wake up to business every morning. It starts at 5 a.m. and 5 Live, and I'm not up at 5 a.m. So I download that and I'll listen to sort of a snapshot of where the business world is. That doesn't inspire me. That just fills me with dread sometimes when you get news. But I guess from an inspirational point of view, and I've very happily been a bit of a mentor to the young chap who runs the organization, Best of Belfast. I don't know whether you've come across Matthew Thompson. But he's doing some fab stuff. He's interviewing some brilliant people from around Northern Ireland, many of whom have left and been very successful, and many of them who are just characters in Northern Ireland. He's interviewed and spent time to try and bring what the best of Northern Ireland, the best of Belfast is all about. So I find some of his interviews just, off the wall. I've listened to all sorts of different people talking about different topics, and you kind of listen in, and it makes you appreciate that actually we bat way above our skill levels and our ability in Northern Ireland, because we are a great nation of people, and I think we don't shout about it enough.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I think we're very inwardly focused. We tend to sort of keep our head below the parapet. And there's just so many good news stories out there. One in particular that comes to mind that anybody listening should tune into, and is another Larne man who sadly passed away a few years there. Norman Surplus passed away last year.
Yeah.
And Norman contracted cancer very sadly, and he thought he had got rid of it, and had a very successful career in renewable energy.
Yeah.
And he decided that his way of combating this illness was he was going to fly around the world in a gyrocopter. So you might have remembered the story of him.
Yeah, amazing.
On his gyrocopter, and he had a lot of challenges on the road. But actually, listening to his podcast, he did a second podcast about 6 months before he passed away, and I think that is a legacy for everybody that listens to that. The guy is just an inspiration. The challenges trying to get through Russia, trying to fly over large swathes of ocean in a small single propelled gyrocopter. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but listening to the guy talk, there's those people are truly inspirational.
Oh, they are. Yeah, I remember again as a kid in the playing fields down there near the harbour. Norman had strapped a windsurfing sail onto like a board with 4 small wheels on it, and it's the first time I saw somebody doing like windsurfing on land all the way through that. So
He was ahead of his time, that's for sure.
he certainly was, yeah. And all that renewable energy, again, ahead of his time, did excellent.
Yeah, no, he's very, so I mean, there are so many people like that.
Sure.
It's so inspirational. They've got stories to tell, and I think that for me, that's sort of very localized.
Yeah,
you can go down the path of all the great sort of podcasts that are giving you the best things to think about and the best people to talk to about how you should organize your day and how you should be thinking, and those are all good things to do. I think there's a time and a place and energy in any organization to do that right stuff. And I've used a lot of cynic stuff in my business here in terms of focusing in on the how and how do we do things and what's important to us. But like when I bring it back, I mean, those are things I ask my people to do. Go and listen to these people and take something from it and something positive from it. But I always say Northern Ireland is a fantastic set of people. It's a fantastic place to live, but it's the people that make it up.
Yeah.
That don't shout loudly enough about it.
That's right. That's right. Completely true. So what does the future look like for you? And what do you see as the main challenges moving forward?
So the future for us as an organization, in all walks, very positive. If I think to where I'm at with the people that are in my sort of inner circle, if you like, I have very strong management teams, all of whom are capable of driving the business forward. We've been very lucky. We've managed to sell an equity stake in our airport promotions business to a French company. And that opens up all sorts of possibilities and opportunities for us. Yeah. They're a €100 million business. They're right across Europe. They're based in Paris. We are one of their lead acquisitions in terms of travel retail. And so the understanding that we have will be used to start building further into Europe and onto the Middle East. So there's exciting plans. And I think, when my team start to see the opportunities that they can take, not necessarily having to leave Belfast, but organizing things from this small place. Yeah. So exciting. We've truly become a global business in that area. Yeah. So there's an exciting future for us there. We're winning lots of contracts in our contract cleaning business. QCS is really strong and stable.
Yeah, and a few awards recently.
Yeah, we did. Again, it's talking about batting above your weight. The annual, if you believe there's annual cleaning awards, who's got the cleanest toilets in town, but the annual cleaning awards for last year and this year, we won the main award last year, and this year we won 2 awards out of 10. I'm up against multinational businesses, so you kind of take a lot of comfort from the fact that these are independently marked. The criteria is that they bring in an assessor from the British Institute of Cleaning Science. They go and assess the people that you put forward. And not only are they looking at the methods of cleaning, they're looking at all of the other health and safety aspects and making sure that the storerooms up to scratch, making sure that all of our chemicals are labeled properly and managed properly and so on. So there's no aspects that people won't ever appreciate that goes into making a good cleaner work. But yeah, we won. Ulster Rugby was the cleanest stadium or the cleanest event area in Northern Ireland, which we were very. And then we won a further award for the Gateway Centre up in Antrim. We cleaned for Antrim and Newton Abbey Borough Council. So yeah, look, it's exciting because we're playing with the big guys, and they're kind of taking up and sitting up and taking notice. And actually, there's 2 things that make that happen. And first and foremost, it's people. It's the quality of the management and the quality of the process that you put in. But secondly, it's how do you make it efficient? And one of the pieces that actually has driven all of my businesses forward is using technology and specifying the technology, making sure that it's very bespoke for the industry that you're working in. So the first benefactor of that, I think, was the Synergy business, where I put in some software which we built bespoke for the industry to run our business remotely, so that we could have a team of people sitting in my office here in Belfast managing sometimes 600 people a day, working across the airport businesses in the UK. And people, we know when they started work, we know when they've left, they've got an app, they check in, they check out, that runs the payroll, that runs the invoicing, everything's very smooth. And that's very simplified version, but it's a, it's a great tool that we had. And so enabling all my managers to get away from admin tasks and get into development work, working with the new starts, making sure that somebody's got a really good chance of getting a career out of this industry because you've given them the day 1 to the day 50 to the day 90 approach to how you integrate them into the shop floor. So our training has improved dramatically, our performance has improved dramatically, all because we've taken care of the admin stuff. So using the same analogy, I've moved that into the cleaning business, and the cleaning business is now showing the same graphic.
Yeah.
Where, all of a sudden, the people that we're managing are no longer having to wonder, did Rich turn up to work today? Did John turn up, or did John do it instead of Rich? And what piece of paper am I writing that on so that payroll knows about it? It's all taken care of through the system. The system is very intuitive. We've used machine learning to let it understand the sort of trends that are going on in our business. And because all of that is now automated, the people that are managing are genuinely managing. They're not doing admin tasks anymore. So, huge benefits. And actually to be able to do that in a small business environment is exciting to see. Yeah. You literally do start to see your sales line improve. And tantamount to that is the awards. That's the output of the hard work that's gone in.
Fantastic, great. So what's the best advice, or what would you say to anyone thinking of going into business today?
It's a tough place to go. I think my key advice to anybody thinking about setting a business up is to never hold back, never ever doubt yourself. If you've got an idea or a thought, there are far more opportunities to talk to people like you, to talk to people like InvestNI, to talk to people like the banks than ever. They didn't exist 25, 30 years ago. Yeah. And, even if they did, it was so bureaucratic. Whereas now with the evolution of social media, with the evolution of how we do business online, my advice would be just go for it. Find somebody to talk to. Find somebody that has maybe been there and done it and either failed or succeeded or both, and listen, be a sponge, listen in. If you don't listen to people that have been there, you're not going to learn. So finding those people is probably the key, and making sure that if there is mentorship around anywhere, you sap it all up, get as much of it as you can. As I said, I mentor quite a few people outside of my own business. And I take great joy of seeing them blossoming and developing and sometimes listening to me. Yeah. I know that we're getting somewhere when they argue back, when they throw an argument out to say, I don't agree with that, or this is what I believe. I think it's important that you get that equality in your coaching system and your mentorship, that you're able to encourage people to think for themselves. So if you were setting up a new business today, I would say to any young person, anybody for that matter, young or old, go for it. There's so many upsides, and I think there's so much help out there right now that it would, you would live to regret if you thought you had an idea and you weren't maximizing the opportunity that was in your head.
Sure. Excellent advice, John. Look, really appreciate you joining us today. Appreciate your wisdom and all those bits of advice, and your very transparent sharing. It's been great, and it'll be a great benefit to all of our listeners. Thank you so much.
I hope so. It's been a pleasure to join you. Good to see you, Rich. Thank you.
You too. Thanks.